Hello, Vegas baby fans. I'm back. And as you can see, I am in full mask. So I'm trying to encourage everybody to wear, except for my glasses are steaming up right now, to wear a mask whenever you go out. So I've got my Bears mask and I've got my Batman mask. So I am ready. You just try to get me, COVID. I'm just messing. So, yes, I'm just trying to encourage people to wear masks because it's very important um, that you wear masks right now, right? So, there's something on my glasses. What the heck? So, I'm back today and I'm back in the saddle again to try to, you know, make you guys laugh. Bring a smile to your face. So, but I did want to say about the masks because even if you're in a state that's opening up, it just might not be a bad idea because you know what? They really don't know. So you're really protecting yourself. But you do what you want. I just personally think masks right now are a good idea. I don't like wearing them, but I'd rather wear a mask than be sitting in a ventilator dying from COVID 19. Again, you know I would. So I'm thinking, what can I do today? You know, I told you yesterday I'm not feeling overly creative and funny because of everything that's going on. I've been locked up in this house by myself since what, March 17th, something like that. And I do see Mike once in a while, but that's it. So, so I took my morning walk and I came up with an idea. So I thought we would talk about our family weddings because when I think about it, man, we had a lot of them. So I have two brothers and a sister and a dad and a mom, right? Okay. So unfortunately, my mom will not be in this equation because she had passed away. So my first brother, so we've had I'll start out to tell you how many weddings we've had. My first brother, Scott, has been married twice. My second brother, Dale, has been married three times. And my sister has been married twice. And my dad was married twice. So Bill and I were the only two that stayed married once, and that was it. So it's kind of funny to think about it, you know. So we'll start out. Um, my brother Scott's first wedding, I mean, I remember, but there wasn't anything too spectacular. It was a very nice wedding, do not get me wrong, but nothing really crazy, funny, crazy happened at that wedding. So we're going to kind of go to Dale, my second brother. So his first wedding, he was 19 when he got married, and I'm 3 years younger than him, so that made me 16. And right, because I had my driver's license, duh. He got married. God, it was way out in like I'm trying to think. I know what town it is, and I can't think of it. It's on the other side of Woodfield, even farther. Prairie View, maybe? I don't know. But I know the place that they got married just went out of business not too long ago. So him and his first wife had and it was on Valentine's Day. So we all went again 16, and my sister was little, so and so we're at the reception, we're having a great time, and then I go up to the bar and I was hanging around with my dad's work buddies, all the guys in heating and air conditioning and stuff, because a lot of them were there because that's what Dale did too. He worked for my dad, so they were there, and all of a sudden they decided, hey, Lenny, do you want a cocktail? So I started drinking screwdrivers. Yes, 16 years old. And my parents had no idea that their buddies, they're these grown men, were giving me screwdrivers. So I was drinking those. And my parents were partying. And then I hear my dad say something to my mom's like, well, if you can't drive, who's going to drive? And he's like, Lenny will drive. She's got her license. And I'm over at the bar getting drunk with the guy, his buddies. And then when my parents found out, they were like, you've been drinking? And my grandma was there. Oh, she was in a tether. Oh, Lynn's only 16. So that was pretty funny. Needless to say, I did not drive home, and I'm sure it was a very adventurous ride. I have no doubt. Not proud of the fact that we did it, but way bad. So that was wedding one for Dale. Wedding two for Dale, he married Patty. And oh my God, that was a crazy ass time, man. He, Dale, set off. We were in the church, and it was like 105 degrees outside, and the church didn't have air conditioning, so it was super hot. And Dale probably won't watch this, so I can say it. And even if you did, it's the truth. He knows I'm not saying anything wrong. It's when he still used to drink, and he's been sober like 25 years, so it's been a long time. But this is when he used to drink. So he was already a couple of sheets to the wind before the wedding even started. So he thought it would be funny to set the fire alarm off at the church. Yeah, my brother, his wedding. So, and then we're all like, oh my God, so that got all taken care of. And then we're up at the altar. And, oh my God, me and my sister were trying not to pass out. We were in the wedding. We're trying not to pass out because it was so hot in there. And we look over at my brother Dale, and oh my God, it was like it was raining on his head and face. He was just sweating profusely. And me and Kathy are just kind of looking at each other and like, whoops. So that was kind of funny. And then we go to the reception, and it was just crazy. Now, Kathy is still not legal. And, oh, yeah, and then Dale drank champagne out of my sister's shoe, which is pretty gross. And she didn't really want to put the shoe back on, but she had to because we were at the reception. So after the reception, we went down. My aunt and uncle were like, hey, there's this restaurant, I think it was called Corrado's. And they're like, we go there all the time. Let's go there. And we're like, well, we got Kathy. And they're like, don't you worry. And I think I told part of this story before. Don't you worry. We'll get her in. They did. Things were different way back then. You know what I mean? They were just laxer, you know. So, of course, we got Kathy in there, and we're all drinking. And I'm almost sure I told this, but some guy wanted to buy Bill a drink because he was all dressed up and stuff. And he's like, yeah, no, that's not going to happen. And we were laughing, and we just had a really great time. So that's another wedding. And then wedding three for Dale. He's sober now and everything. This is many years later. Obviously, they got a divorce, his first two wives. And now he gets married in Huntington Beach, California, right? So we're like, okay. So, and what they were going to do was there was this big boat, and everybody was on the boat, and they were going to get married on the boat. And then once they were married, we were going to cruise, go out to the ocean, cruise around, eat the reception food, blah, blah, and come back, right? Huntington, California. It was in the beginning of March. So you're thinking, oh, it's going to be beautiful there, right? So, you know, we all have our short sleeve dresses and this and that, and we're all ready. So we get there Friday. The wedding's on Saturday. Friday night, it just starts pouring. I mean, pouring like crazy. It's thunder and lightning. And it was funny because we're sitting in the bar where they were having the rehearsal, and we're all sitting there talking, and thunder happened. Boom, you know. And we're all just kept talking, and the bartender goes, you definitely must not be from here. And we're like, well, why would you say that? And he's like, where are you from? We're like, Illinois. He's like, oh, that explains it. He goes, because you didn't even flinch when we had those big boomers just a few minutes ago. We're like, well, we're kind of used to that. Apparently it doesn't thunder too often in California, but now I know what they mean because I live in Vegas, and it don't thunder here either. So that was funny. So then it started raining Friday night, and needless to say, then Saturday, we wake up, it was okay in the morning, but it was cold, real cold. It was like low 60s, maybe high 50s, and of course, I had this sleeveless dress on. I'm like, oh my God, so we get on the boat, they start to get married, and then it starts raining again, and the weather is just terrible. And it's raining, they got married, but because the weather was so bad, the boat could not leave the dock. So, you know, they have all this great thing, you know, this great cruise plan for their wedding to drive, you know, go out to the ocean and come back. And then when we would have come back, we would have seen, because I said, now Huntington Beach, you don't know that. That's where the really rich live. Like the boats that were in the dock, that were in the harbor there by this big boat, they were so big. You know how dinghies, you usually have like a little rowboat or something like that as your dinghy boat, so that if you go out, you can go to shore in the little boat. They had regular size motorboats as their dinghies. Yeah. Okay, we're talking rich. So our hotel was literally right there on the harbor, right there. So really cool boats, but man, some money. But it was kind of a shame that we went all the way. You go out there and they wanted the cruise around and they couldn't. It was so cold on that boat. Oh my God, it was freezing. And nothing against my brother and his wife for this because they were both recovering alcoholics. There was no liquor. So there was nothing to keep you warm. There was no, doing shots or a beer to get insides warm. So we were freezing. And then it just proceeded to rain and rain and rain and rain and rain. I mean, crazy ass rain. So a couple of my friends, they only lived like an hour away in California, so they drove up and they were going to party with us after because the reception was during the day. So at night we had Saturday night free. So a couple of my friends drove up. It was raining so hard that none of us wanted to go out and drive somewhere to go to a bar or something like that. So there was like Jenny, Peg, Tom, Kathy, me, and Bill. And there was 6 of us, and we're in this little room partying. We had so much fun, though. Peggy, my girlfriend, brought all these like little appetizers. So we had the appetizers going, and we went to the liquor store, bought a lot of liquor, and the 6 of us just in there, and we just had. It's so funny. We're in this one, hotel room with one bed. We probably had 2 double beds in it, and the 6 of us in there. We were locked up, and then every once in a while we'd go out to have a cigarette. But it was raining so hard, we're standing on the balcony up against the wall, trying to smoke. It rained, cats and dogs, and they're like, "It never rains here." And so we call home. My sons, my son, my nephew, they all had to stay back. We're like, "We're not paying for you to come with us," because they were young. And we called back to Illinois. The weekend we were in there and it was 60 and pouring rain, it was, now remember this is March, it was 75 and sunny the whole weekend in Illinois. No, isn't that typical? So we ended up partying all night in that hotel room and we just watched. I've never seen it rain so hard. Next day we wake up, it's still raining. So we go down for breakfast, and we're getting breakfast, and we see my dad in the lobby, and there's a lot of women around him. I'm like, what the heck is going on with my dad? My dad we used to joke, because he kind of looked like Buddy Hackett, he kind of looked like Walter Matthau, and he kind of looked like Fred Flintstone. It's true. So maybe that gives you a better idea about what I'm dealing with, okay? So he was in the lobby, and a bunch of old ladies went up to him and thought he was Buddy Hackett, and they're like, "Buddy Hackett!" So he signed autographs for each of the ladies, Buddy Hackett, and his wife, his second wife, Pat. We call her Grandma Pat. Is like, Don. He's like, "Oh, I just made their day. Why not?" That's my dad. That could have been on my dad's story day yesterday. So yeah, needless to say, it was. And then, of course, we heard the next day, Monday, and after that, it didn't rain probably for another year. But it was, oh my God, and it was so cold. Okay, so that's Dale and Scott. Now, Scott, though, in his second wedding, I remember, a bunch of us, after the wedding, we went to the sports page in Arlington Heights. And I do remember I got into a little bit of a tiff with one of his friends. I wasn't a fan of this guy. At the time, and because he just was a smart mouth, know-it-all type of dude, and I remember we got in a bit of a tizzy, and Bill's like, "We better go, because this is your brother's wedding, we don't need to start no trouble." So Bill said, "Let's go," and he took me home. Okay, so I did Dale's 3 weddings. Now we have my sister, Kathy. Her first wedding, was to her first husband, Jack. She was young, 21 maybe, 20, 21. And her husband lived in the UP. And that's upper Wisconsin, way up, where, the town consists of, 1,000 people. because I remember once we went up there to drop her son off at a camp he was going to stay at for a few weeks, and it was about 6 hour drive way up, and the town is called Iron Mountain, Iron River. Iron Mountain. I always get it mixed up. It's one or the other. And when we went there to drop her son off, she told me, now, when we go out to breakfast, people are going to look at us because they don't know who we are and we're strangers because they know everybody in this town. So, but she said some people might recognize me being her, okay? Because, anyways, so they got married and all of his family came down for the wedding, and no disrespect, but I got to say this as nice as I can. Of course, none of them are going to watch this, but they really class and manners, not exactly something they must have missed school that day, because a few of his sisters, although they had weird names, this should have been the red flag. One was Pumpkin, one was Girly, and another one was Pollyanna. I don't know, but a couple of them wore to the church halter tops. Okay, so we're at the reception, right? And we're in a reception hall. We're in a venue. My parents rented it, and first I go into the bathroom, and my mom's in there, and I'm like, "What's wrong?" She goes, "Look, there were glasses, plastic glasses, in the sink, cigarettes in there." We're like, "What the heck is this? This isn't a garbage can. It's a sink to wash your hands." We're like, "Oh, I bet I know who did that." So we're cleaning everything up. We come out. A couple of them are behind the bar making their own drinks. And the bartender's like, "You can't do that." And they're trying to do it anyways. And I'm like, "Yeah, I don't think so." It was insane. And then we went and partied. Yes, okay, so this was a good one. So after that, the reception was over, and a bunch of us went to Gatsby's, which was in Arlington Heights. Palatine and Arlington Heights Road. If you're from Illinois in that area, you know where Gatsby's was. And it was still the smaller Gatsby's at that point. It wasn't the bigger one it is now. So we go there, and there's a bunch of us, and everybody's pretty much hammered, right? So we're out on the patio partying, and there was this dude, and I think I might have told part of the story too, but that's all right. Nobody remembers. There was this dude over there. He was sitting in the booth with three other people, and he kind of looked like Elvis, where he was trying to look like Elvis. He was a big dude. He had these big chops on. And so my cousin and my girlfriend, a friend of ours, just couldn't stop staring at him. And then I guess they were making comments, and I don't know. I was partying with my brother, my Bill, and all these other people that were with us, my cousins, all of us. We were there, was a bunch of us, and these two just wouldn't leave him alone. So apparently he goes to the manager of Gatsby's, who comes out and says, "If you guys don't leave this gentleman alone, I'm going to ask you to leave." And we're all like, "What are you talking about?" And he's like, "These two." So he points to Keith and Sue, and he says, they're hassling this guy. And we're like, "All right." So we're like, "What are you guys doing?" And then we look, and we're like, "Oh." But they just couldn't help themselves. So what do they go and do? They go inside, they get the jukebox, and they play Elvis songs. Needless to say, we were asked to leave. So we left, and my brother lived right down the street. He in Prospect Heights. Scott, and he had this huge backyard. I mean, not wide, it was pretty wide, but it was super long. I mean, it had to be could it have been long as a football field? I think it could have been. So in his backyard, he had a little porch. It was a step up. It wasn't level with the ground. It was about this high up, and it was cement. So we all go back to his house. Now, his wife had left already and gone home because they had a young kid. And her mother was there too, but they were both asleep because the grandmother stayed to watch the baby while we were at the wedding. So now it's like, 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We get back to Scott's house. We decide to play 500, which I mentioned yesterday, the baseball game where you throw the ball up and you catch. Scott turns on all his floodlights in the backyard, and we're out there. And it went on for quite a while. I'm sure it's probably like 4 o'clock. I mean, I don't know if people complained. I really don't remember, but we're out there playing baseball and drunk as shit, laughing. And that was fun. So then we all, a bunch of us spent the night at Scott's house, passed out. My one cousin was outside on the patio in the Chase Lounge chair like this, asleep, sitting up, right? So Bill got up first, he said, and he went into the kitchen and he sees Scott's mother in law. And she's looking out the window. And then she looks at Bill and goes, who is that? And is he okay? So Bill looks out and he sees who it is, and he's like, he's fine. I'll go get, I go, we just had a little too much to drink last night. And she's like, yeah, there sounded like a big commotion going on outside. We're like, yeah. So, yeah. And the thing was, I don't think we had change of clothes. I think we were all playing in what we wore to the wedding. I am almost certain of that. So that was pretty funny. So that was Kathy's first wedding. Then Kathy's second wedding, because unfortunately her husband had passed away, God bless. And then she marries Tom. Man, that was a great wedding. Woo, did we party? And they, beautiful wedding. And then we went to a hotel that had a venue there. And you know what? I think it was Journey. No, it wasn't Journey. It was the hotel next to Journey's End in that might be Vernon Hills over there. I know, I don't think it's there anymore, but there was a hotel. So they had a nice little venue. So they got married there. So everything was there. People could stay in the same hotel. You didn't have to leave, which was really nice. You could really, party. And I was my sister's matron of honor. And Darren and Michael were little, so they dressed up in tuxedos. They were just absolutely gorgeous, and they were so cute. So we get through that, and we get to the reception hall, and I gotta tell you, that's when Bill first got sick. So it was like what 4 months after Bill was sick. So I lost a lot of weight. So when I went to get a dress for this wedding, man, I looked pretty hot. I don't ever say that about myself, but I had lost a good, maybe 20 pounds. So I was kind of smoking that day. You bet, baby. Lynn's rocking it. So I'm sitting there at the reception and I'm drinking my beer. And my mother comes up to me and says, honey, I can dress you up. I take you out. But you still don't know how to be a lady. And she starts laughing. And I said, what do you mean you can dress me up? Oh, no, that's what she said. You can dress me up, but I can't take you out because look at you. And I said, what do you mean? He goes, you're drinking a beer out of the bottle. I said, Mother, because, they used to give you those teeny little glasses when you went to receptions and you'd pour the beer. And I go, why would I walk around with two? I said, Mother, chill out, man. It's a wedding. So, she's like, oh, daughter, I don't know what to do with her. So had a great time. Everybody's partying. People are dancing like crazy. And then my girlfriend, Sue, who is just a hoot. Now, this is not the same Sue that was giving Elvis a hard time at my sister's first wedding. This is a different Sue. We'll call her Tall Sue. And she started a Congo line. And everybody was dancing. Everybody in that reception hall got up but two people. I am not lying. And we went out into the hall. We were in the lobby. We were going around the whole hotel and back into the reception hall. And those two people just sat there and looked at us. Okay, whatever. Losers. They weren't on our side of the family. So, no, I'm just kidding. But that was so, oh my God, we were laughing. I mean, it wasn't a huge wedding. I would say maybe 100 people, maybe 125, but everybody was doing it. It was great. It was just so much fun. So then the reception's over. It's time to go up and continue partying, of course, right? So, everybody's starting to leave, and people are leaving. My parents are getting ready. All the relatives, my dad's, we go out to the lobby, and I gotta say this first. I'm sorry, Mom. It's funny. I have to tell it. So, my dad says my mom's pretty toasted. We all are, okay. And my dad, me and my sister, she's in her wedding dress. I'm dressed up. We're standing there with my mom. My dad's like, I will be right back. I'm gonna go get the car. Please watch your mother. And we're like, no problem. Well, everybody's running up to the elevators to get up there. And me and my sister look at each other. and we look at my mom, and all of a sudden she goes, and she falls to the floor. And she's sitting. I mean, she fell on her butt and was sitting there with her legs out, back like that, with her eyes closed. And we looked at each other. I said, "You want to go?" And my sister's like, "Yeah." And we left. We left our own mother sitting on the floor in the lobby of the hotel on my sister's wedding night. Do we suck or what? You know what? Nothing was ever said. I said, we're going to get in a lot of trouble. And you know what? My dad never said anything. He never said one word. So that was cool. But we ended up going up to my sister, well, not my sister's room. We were in somebody's room. Again, another hotel room, and I don't know how many people were in that room. I heard there was other parties going on, but in this room, it was the bride and groom and all their friends. So there had to be about 20 of us in this teeny little room. And we're smoking and partying. And then, my brother-in-law, his brother was just hammered beyond belief. So nobody wanted him in the room. My sister's husband's like, we're not going to tell him where we are. So if he comes to the door, everybody be quiet. So all of a sudden, and we're all in there. The music's playing, and we're all talking. And he's like, everybody, Tom yells, everybody be quiet. I'm like, well, I'm pretty sure he just heard that. And he's still knocking. He's like, oh, I can hear you in there. Let me in. Which, of course, we did not. Somebody proceeded. Now, this wasn't our room. It wasn't my sister's room. It was a friend of hers. I felt so bad for her. They were chewing. My brother-in-law chews. Some of his friends chew. And they were, they have the spittoon they spit into, which I'm sorry is gross, but and somebody knocked that over in the room. So you can imagine what it smelled like in that. And when that happened, I looked at my sister and I said, I'm out of here. Now Bill was already in bed. He was downstairs. He had left a long time ago. So I think it was like 5:00 in the morning. I'm like, I'm done. So I leave and I come home and I open the door. Honey, I'm home. So that was a good wedding. Then my dad's wedding. After my mother passed away, he got remarried a few years later. And they got married. His wife is Catholic, so she wanted a Catholic service. So what they did was they got married, and it was like upstairs in the church. There was this room. And they had a real high ceiling, and it was all glass, right? And so they stood under the glass part of it. And that's where they did their vows. And her family sat over there in chairs, and we sat over here. So, and all of a sudden, we look up and it's like, oh, the clouds were black as you could be, and all of a sudden you saw this lightning bolt outside. We're like, oh my god! And we all lean over. Me and my brothers were like, I think Mom's here. I think she was saying something about it. I don't know, but Grandma Pat's a great lady, so I can't imagine, but maybe. And then we look up, and I swear we all laughed about this. We swear to God, my dad was dozing off. I'm not kidding. He's standing there with his eyes closed, and we're all like, dude. And the grandkids are laughing. They're like, Grandpa fell asleep in his own way, standing up at the altar. That's my dad. And then we went to the reception, which, God, I wish I could remember the name of it. It was by Thunderbird Bowling Alley in Mount Prospect. This is going to bring up memories for people. That's why I like to say this stuff. And I think it was the banquet hall or something it was called. That's where they had the reception. So we all get there, and it had been pouring. Do you see a little rain theme here? It was pouring. And everybody gets into the hall, and all of a sudden, boom, the lights go out. And we're all like, okay, Mom. Enough is enough. We get it. You might not be happy about this, but please, we're here to party. Could you turn the lights back on? So she did, and it turned out to be a great reception. The kids had a blast. They were all dancing, break dancing, and stuffing on the floor. So there was a lot of weddings. A lot of people got married, a lot of stuff. And then, of course, you know about our second wedding. I'm not going to go over that again. So, but my niece and nephew, one last one, Simon and Jesse got married. And I know I talked about this one before a little bit, but they got married in Devil's Head up in Wisconsin. They got married in a small town where Simon's from. And then we went over to Devil's Head, and we were all staying there, and that's where the reception was. And I won't go into everything, but because I said a verse at the ceremony. I had to read in front of them, which I was scared to death. I had to practice so much with my son, and because my niece asked me to do it, and I had this red, kind of sexy dress on. Again, I was kind of hot. I mean, there was only a few times I pulled this off, right? And so I did that. I read it. Oh, and then did I tell you about last time that they're pretty? My son's date at the time said, "I think that photographer's got a crush on you," and I'm like, "What?" Because she had asked me to take. She goes, "Come over here. Let's take a picture just by yourself. You're so pretty in that red dress." Do you know that no one, my niece, never saw that picture? Now she took it of me. She took several, and my niece went through all hers because I told her, and she goes, "There was never a picture of just you, Landlin." So her partner was two women, and they were together. So when they go to do the family photo, so the one everyone thinks had a crush on me, and her partner must have known because when they did the family photo, she puts me way in the back, and you can barely see me. I'm the shortest, right? I should have been in the front. I'm in the back. You can barely see me, that bitch. So and then then they take the party bus. It was like 45 minutes from the church to Devil's Head Resort, and so my niece is like, "Oh no, I want you on the bus, Aunt Lynn." I'm like, she goes, "You're in the wedding." I'm like, "All right." I know I told people this, but it was just like, oh my God. At one point, these kids were insane. At one point, there was like this much liquid on the floor. It was gross. And I said to my niece, "Pick up your wedding dress," because the wedding dress was getting wet. These guys, we stopped at about, and remember, it's pretty much out in the middle of nowhere. We stopped at about 4 bars, 5 bars maybe, and they all had a bunch of shots. I did not. My son did. I did not. I would have a beer or water because I knew I was going to be partying all day. They had the music. They were playing boom, 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 boom type of music. I'm a rock and roller. I'm not boom, 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 rap, that kind of crap. So I could not wait to get off that bus. We finally got back to the resort, and I'm like, so the rest of the day and night, if I misstepped or I said something wrong, I just said I was on the party bus, and they're all like, "Oh, we understand." But there was one thing when I was walking out of go to the bathroom or something, and this one lady goes, "There's the lady in the red dress," and I look at my friend I'm standing with or whoever it was, and I'm like, "Uh-oh," and they're like. And they come up to me and I'm like, "Yeah," and they're like, "Oh, that reading! I've never heard that verse read like that before." And I'm like, "Okay." So then I look at my friend after leave and I said, "Is that a compliment?" I didn't know it was a compliment, but hey, lady in red. And then so the photographer tried to pick me up. Apparently the bartender, I didn't know it, the woman was making a pass at me because my sister-in-law told me, "I think that bartender just made a pass at you." I'm like, "Oh, okay." And then at the end of the night, there was one of my niece's friends, which made him like 25 years old. And I think he thought he was going to get lucky with me. So at the end of the night, when we finally got everybody to bed, we got the bride and groom to bed, and we were going to bed. Michael had been out since 10 o'clock because we made him go to bed. He was loaded. And I already told all that story, so I'm not going to tell again because I know I did. But so I have this friend of mine, Jackie, with me, and I said, "Come in my room," because the guy was following us. So we go into the room. He stood outside my door for 10 minutes. I think he was going to wait for her to leave, and then he was going to knock on the door. We kept looking through the peepee hole. I know. So 2 women and a guy. I was propositioned. That was one hell of a red dress. Okay, so that's it. I'm not gonna tell anymore. I think this is too long, anyways. I'm getting back in the saddle again, but I'm making the stories too long. But that's okay, right? Because we don't mind. Okay, I'm gonna get my microphone here, so I can. Let's get my microphone in here so you can see. So when I sing my song, okay, I want to be able to. Okay, Elvis is kind of in my way a little bit. Elvis, I need my microphone, okay? There we go. All right. And I have a song. I think it's kind of a good song for the weddings, okay? And it's by the Beatles. Are you guys ready? Because you know I'm really good at this. All right. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll Then while I'm away, I'll ride home every day, and I'll send all my loving to you. I'll pretend that I'm kissing the lips I am missing, and hope my dreams will come true. And then while I'm away, I'll ride home every day, and I'll send all my loving to you. All my loving I will send to you. All my loving, darling, I'll be true. Close your eyes and I'll kiss you. Tomorrow I'll miss you. Remember, I'll always be true. Then when I'm away, I'll ride home every day, and I'll send all my loving to you. All my loving I will send to you. All my loving, darling, I'll be true. All my loving, all my loving, oh, 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 of my love. Thank you. I can rock, kid. I gotta tell you what. You know, at this part, I gotta say, the last 2 days has cheered me up. I don't know if you've really liked my shows, but it's cheered me up. So, and we all need a laugh, right? So that's what this is all about, baby. If you're laughing at my stories or my singing, I don't care. I know my son says it's a little difficult getting through your songs, Mom, but you know, oh well, not everybody can be a good singer, you know. So listen, wear your masks, look out for people, love one another, and let's all stick together because we're all in this together. I know there's people who don't believe what's going on and they've got different opinions. I know me and my brother fight about this all the time. But at the end of the day, we still need to support each other and take care of one another and be kind to people. And that is the most important part. Because, you know, I know my friends and family mean the world to me. I mean, me and my brother, we fight and stuff like that, you know, words, silly words, but I love him and he loves me. And that's the thing. You can do stuff like that and it's okay. But but if somebody needs help and you're out and about, help them. Don't be afraid. Put the mask on and you won't have to worry. All right. All right. I've bored you guys enough. So that's it for the Vegas Baby Show, starring me, Lynn. And I will see you next time. Keep on rocking and rolling, baby.